So, lefties, lefties, lefties. This is an urge for all of you lot. I want to debate your existence. Might sound strange. I'm not really debating the existence of your person, but the existence of your political ideology. This is what I'm finding difficult to believe in the existence of. Now, I'm not on the right as a status, but depending on how you judge values, the time frame, the part of the world that you're looking at, the values that I have tend to be seen as right-sided. But I have values that exist regardless of what side they fall on. And if the political context changes, then I can still hold those values up, and if someone was to say to me, well, actually you're a leftist, that'd be fine. Because I'd say, well, I don't care about being a right person or a left person. I just care about the values that I care about. But this is what you're devoid of. So the problem's obviously that whilst most people don't understand the context of, what the right is supposed to stand for or what the left is supposed to stand for, you leftists don't even have values by which you can judge if you are a leftist or a rightist. So this is what I'm here to say to you today. To ask you, not to tell me, but to ask yourself. What do you believe in? What would you fight for? What do you live by? What values do you actually live by? Now, this is the crux, because whilst most lefties these days are fighting for lots of different things, they fight Brexit and Trump, they fight abstractions, they fight racism and sexism and blah 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 blah. But that's the point though, values do not exist in the negative. A value is not anti this, anti that. Anti-racism is not a value. Anti-Trump, being anti-Trump, is not a value. See, all these outraged lefties, they can't explain why Trump won. But it's actually really simple. And it's fear of the unknown. It's an archaic survivalist instinct that drove us from our earliest conception. Dare I say, it's a reptilian trait. It's what drives us to repetitive behaviours, and it's what makes children scared of the dark. It's the fear of the unknown. What we know we can plan for, what we don't know is what scares us. And as humans, a lack of certainty is what tears us apart. When we are unsure, we worry. Now, in this context, Clinton and Trump were exact opposites. I need you to forget for a moment politicians lie. It's true, undoubtedly, but we're not talking about validity of promises, we're talking about the perception that those promises provide. And in this sense, it's all about positives and negatives. And I don't mean good or bad, I mean positive to be additive and negative to be detractive. And in that sense, once again, lefties are devoid of additive values. They're consumed by anti-this, anti-that, and they fall into a trap whereby even a successful leftist campaign leaves the question of what you're going to be left with. Because it's about being able to picture what it is you're trying to create. I mean, if you were to succeed in, let's say it was possible to end racism, what would that look like? I mean, lefties assume, maybe correctly, probably correctly, that a post-racist society would be better. But they can't calm the part of the psyche that says, how do we know? Because there isn't a picture, an image to refer to say, well, if this post-racist society that looks like this, or this post-racist society will look like this, and that looks better than now. And so without painting that definitive picture, the uncertainty remains, and support doesn't. No one wants change that they can't guarantee the result of, and as I said, lefties assume. They assume a post-racist society would be better, but they can't graphically describe what that would look like. And I mean, we are, from our most fundamental origins, conditioned to avoid uncertainty. And uncertainty prevents conviction. We aren't and can't be convinced when certainty isn't provided. In Clinton's negative campaign, say, detractive, not bad, even though it was really bad, leaves the gap of what her success creates. And Trump spoke positively. Not good, but additively. He was talking about jobs, wealth, security, and borders, you know. Clinton wanted anti-racism, which no one can picture. Trump wanted a wall, which you could quite easily imagine. People knew what he would be creating. And even if he failed, they knew what the situation was already, so they can picture what success looks like, and they already know what the world looks like now, and so they can say, well, we either get that or we get this. But you know what you're dealing with. With Clinton, it's like, I want anti-racism, and if I fail, well, but it's the uncertainty that we can't deal with as a group, as an individual, as a mentally well person. And also the idea of imagery, creating a physical, graphic image of what you want to create, also allows it to be judged. With Clinton, how can you judge? How can you verify if she is ending racism or has ended racism? How do you know racism has been bested? How could you even say, if it was possible to end racism, that Clinton ended the racism? It's not objectively measurable. And that's it. When you say you will positively make something, you can picture what it will look like. And you can also say, see if it actually gets made. I mean, if I promise to build a shopping mall, and no shopping mall is built where I say it's going to be built, you know I didn't build a shopping mall. But when I say I'm anti-building that shopping mall, you can obviously see that it's not there now, but we always have that saying, don't we? You never know what the future holds. So even though I can promise that I'm anti-building that shopping mall, that shopping mall might still get made because, it might not get made today or tomorrow. But what about next year? What about when I disappear and I'm gone? That shopping mall might get built then. And so with this kind of positive, picturable rhetoric, you provide a testable hypothesis into the future. But with negatives, the general, no one knows what the future holds, will always exist. It always does. It can't. We always will never know what the future holds. And so, from this perspective, being anti-Trump might be noble. But there's no positive image as to what is put in place to quell the uncertainty of what happens in the success of that goal. I mean, who's to say that what comes after Trump is better? When you focus only on getting rid of Trump, well, you might replace him with somebody even worse. Clinton, but yeah. So, that's the point. As long as you lefties have no positive structures to erect, you can never create an image. People have no idea what an equal society looks like, but they know what a wealthier one does. People don't know what a post or anti-sexist society looks like, but they know what a freer one does. The other thing to this is that people like growth. I mean, we're biological organisms and we are compelled to grow. And so additive values are growth. They're extensions, they're more than what was there before. And detractives are death in the shortest, most simple way to describe it. I mean, our nature is to expand, to add, to accumulate wealth or knowledge or experience. So, from that perspective, anti means to contract. Now, I will posit why I think you don't have a positive values. And once again, it's fairly simple. And it's the reason I went from being kind of unthinkingly left-leaning to consciously valued, which are on the right side. Because right-sided values, as we see them today, are what we all intrinsically believe. I mean, no one today says, I'm for bondage, unless you're a bit like that sexually, but in physical terms, we don't want a reduction of our freedoms. You can't say I'm against freedom of choice or freedom of speech. No one says I think we need to reduce property rights. Because nobody can say that. It's not rational. You couldn't say that to anyone and expect them to see you as reasonable. And so to be left-leaning in this context is to say, I believe in the reduction of personal freedom. And this is why the left have to avoid having positive values, because left-sided values aren't positive. It took until the 1940s for us here in Britain to have a socialist government. A left-sided government, of course. That is what they are. Because prior to that, the debate was simpler. To be a left-leaning socialist workers' advocate was to destroy anyone's ability to rise out of a lower strata. If you reduce property rights, they knew that you were reducing their own rights to property as well. Even the lower classes knew that that was against their interests. Or actual positive interests, things they wanted to have, the things they wanted to build. So I ask you again, as a lefty, do you believe in the destruction of your property rights? Do you believe in the reduction of your freedom of speech and your choice, freedom of association? And you guys, diversity is a strength, so on one hand you believe that, and on the other hand We can't tolerate Trump and his different views. I mean, you must realise that it's no longer cool to be on the left. I mean, there was a time in the 60s and the 70s where it was cool to be, you know, peace and love, man. I'm all about freedom and blah blah blah. And yeah, I mean, it was a counterculture, but being on the left is no longer the counterculture. When the corrupted dinosaur media, when Clinton, when Blair and the anti-individualist, Brexit-hating politicians are on your side of the choice, or on your side of your choice, on the side of your choice, I should say, you aren't an underdog anymore. When it's societally accepted to have your opinion, you aren't edgy anymore. Whatever credibility the left had as being a little bit different, it doesn't really stand anymore. I mean, have you seen what happens to people on the right? They're the people that are actually on the edgy side of life these days. I mean, you only have to look at the Milo riots. You only have to look at what people say about Trump supporters. Hear about what's said about Brexit people. We are the new counterculture. We are the ones that society is trying to put under the heel. We are the ones that it's cool to hate on. Just as back then it was cool to say, I'm not a hippie, or hate hippies. Well, it was cool to be a hippie because hippies weren't societally accepted. And so that was a statement, in the same way that punks weren't societally accepted, so that was cool, that was edgy, that was out there. But now, the mainstream media agrees with you, I should say the dinosaur media. The terminally diagnosed media, they are on your side. The establishment is on your side. You're not cool anymore. You're not the underdog anymore. And so, whilst I understand that the left has a lot to do with virtue signalling, you're not even... there's no coolness there anymore. You're just repeating what the mainstream media want you to say, because they're kind of nearly at their socialist goal, and so what people on the right who believe in individualism, freedom, those people are the ones that are being crushed now, because whilst there was a time that those values were required for them to make strides forward in controlling everyone, now they've got so close to controlling everyone that they have to go the opposite way and be against freedom, because they've nearly taken it all away. So people who advocate for personal responsibility and self-determination and decentralization are all of a sudden the enemy. We are the new counterculture. We are the people who it's not easy to be anymore. We are the people who when we talk, people roll their eyes. Oh my God, you're not one of those Trump supporters, are you? I can't believe you want Brexit. Because it's not the norm anymore. You guys are the norm. You leftists are the norm. But you became a leftist because you wanted to be seen as different. You're not different. You're the same. You are the establishment. And that's not cool. What being the counterculture was to be cool by being different. Now you are the establishment. It's not cool. So think about that. And think about what you care about. What do you actually want? What do you positively believe in? Not what you want to stop, but what do you want to begin? This is why Clinton lost. She had no positive assertions, nothing she wanted to make happen, nothing she could say, well, that is something that I want to create. She just wants to, like a degenerative disease, stop things. And psychologically, that's not how we work. We want people to be able to offer us something, not to prevent us doing things. And that's what the left used to be about. Think about it. Thanks.